Hello, Bravo bosses. This is the Bravo Investigator Podcast. I am your host, Dana. And today on our Monday Reality Roundup, we are talking about Vanderpump Rules, Summer House, and the Traitors. Today, I am joined by my friend, Erin Jones-Wesley from the podcast Like Us that she does with her sister. It is a really cool podcast where they try to look at the relatability of our reality TV characters and to try to determine whether they are like us. So I really enjoy her podcast. I hope that you guys enjoy it as well. And I hope that you enjoyed my conversation with Erin today. We had a really rich conversation about all of these shows. We broke down the Traitors as well as all the news that came out of it this past weekend. So it was a really good conversation with Erin. And until next time, guys, you can follow me on TikTok, Instagram, Threads. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel. And this episode today is on YouTube. You can also join the Patreon, which is patreon.com/the Bravo Investigator Podcast to get 4 extra podcast episodes a month, ad-free episodes, and early episodes. And that is for only $5 a month. Right now, we are doing Vanderpump Rules from the beginning, and it is such a good time. So I hope you guys enjoy my reality roundup episode with Erin, and I love you, BBs. I will see you next time. Welcome, Erin Jones-Wesley from the Like Us podcast.
Hi, Dana. I'm excited to be here. We're going to investigate.
We are. I'm so happy to have you. This is such a great episode to have you on. So this is our reality roundup. We've got a bunch of fun topics today to talk about. But before we get into that, Erin, first of all, I just want to tell you that I love your name because my sister's name is Erin. So it's just one of my favorite names. Did you know it's an Irish name?
I did know that. And there
We're
was
not
one,
Irish, but yeah.
I'm not Irish either, but there was a time that I remember in college, I was at a party and the Irish exchange students were there. And when they found out my name was Erin, they were cracking up. They were like, there's no way. That is so cool. Erin go bra. Like that's like the whole, Ireland forever. So
That's so cute.
love it.
No, you have such a cute name. Okay, and your
Oh,
podcast, Like Us. So I checked it out recently. I think it's really cool. So it's like you take these different facets of shows. You've got the Meghan Markle show, you've got the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, and talk me through and my audience a little bit what that is. So you're taking these different shows and talking about how people can be more relatable to us when you think that those characters, I guess, are typically not relatable.
yeah, that's exactly right. So, I mean, it started with looking at Meghan Markle and examining kind of who she is in the media. And my sister and I, who is my co-host and producer, we both just were like, wouldn't it be interesting if we just started unpacking each episode of the Meghan show? And that was kind of like the impetus of this idea. And through that, we started realizing like, okay, like, well, Megan's a girl from California. We're girls from California. Is she like us? Like, does she have the things that make us feel like she is a California girl like we are? Because it feels like the media is missing the nuance that she's this like girl from California at the end of the day. And that means a litany of things. And so we started kind of doing like our little, oh, she's wearing a big hat in the sun. Oh, she was a Girl Scout. Oh, she speaks a couple languages, right? That feels like what California girls do. Like, she is
Okay.
like us. And so over the course of the season 1 and season 2 of With Love Megan, we kind of asked the question like, how relatable is Meghan Markle? And we realized like, there's obviously none of us are duchesses, but she is like us in a lot of ways. And I in between season 1 and season 2, I started doing bonus episodes where I recap the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills because those are also California women who are not necessarily always relatable. And it's been really fun to kind of see in which ways are the housewives more relatable. And I feel like for this, it's really asking the question, does relatability make for a better housewife? And does it make for a better season? And so by the time we get to the reunion, I'm keeping score. That's not something we did with Megan, but it's something I'm doing now. And I just released a score card where you can go on my website and actually keep score yourself too. Because what's relatable for me might not be relatable for you, Dana. So like you could
Right.
go online and type in your own like each like us that you think you have. It'll calculate a score and output put who was the most like you that episode. And so, yeah, so that's really fun. It's erinjw.com/keep score. And it's your own scorecard tool so that you can also play like us. And we'll see at the end of this season who's the most relatable housewife. It also makes it kind of like a sport. People have
Yeah.
points, right? Right now, Erica Jane is in the lead, but Rachel Zoe is like she's moving up the ranks. And I think it'll be fun to see where it ends up.
This is such a fun idea for a podcast because it literally is mixing reality TV with sports. Now, I'm not a sports girly, but before we hit record, you were telling me that you are. So, can you walk us a little bit through your backstory and how you got here to the reality TV space? Because I think what you've ended up doing is really combining your passions into like your goal, and I absolutely love that for you. But yeah, tell us a little bit about your sports background.
Yeah, it's funny. Like on the podcast, and when we talked about Megan, I used to always say, I'm sporty, so I love a play-by-play. So to me, I don't really call them recaps. I call them play-by-plays
I love
because
that.
I was a sports broadcaster for a few years for college softball because I was a college softball player and a professional softball player, and I'm in the Hall of Fame. I was a pitcher at Cal State Long Beach, and I have like a strikeouts and a wins and appearance record, which just means I pitched a lot. When I pitched, we won, and in those wins, I struck a lot of people out. And I had a really good time doing that. And so, yeah, I definitely I'm a big sporty girl from a big sporty family, and it feels like kind of gamifying reality TV is definitely the sweet spot. And then obviously, I'm a storyteller at heart. I went to film school. I'm a trained producer, worked in the movie studio side of developing and reading lots of scripts and lots of books and figuring out what are characters that are rooted and what feels true to us, because that's what audiences really sink their teeth into. And so looking at that from a reality TV lens, at the end of the day, these are people playing characters of themselves in a lot of ways. And so it's
Mhm.
really nice to kind of see how their stories unfold and then in which ways are they allowing us, the audience, to know them more, right? Like Erica Jane drinking a Coca-Cola, like that's like such a choice, actually. It's not just on accident. And I think that nothing that the housewives are really doing is so accidental. Most things are pretty intentionally thought out. They're very smart businesswomen. And so it's nice to see smart businesswomen make decisions that can be silly, can be fun, and show like how multidimensional women are. I feel like that part is my favorite part of watching any of these shows. Is like women are awesome and multidimensional, and we should just talk about that.
That is our takeaway for today. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I love that. But then I just realized after everything that you said, I want to put this in the universe. You should be on the Traitors.
I would love to be on the Traitors. Oh my God, Dana, I can't even talk about it. I can't even talk
Okay,
about it.
manifest. Like Amanda
Can't even
Francis.
like, I would love it. The thing that's funny is at first I was like, I would be scared to be on the Traitors because they put them in like cold water and they like there's bugs and that
Yeah,
the fear
yeah,
factor stuff. I don't know,
yeah.
but like the dealing with the people, I love people. And I know that's like a rare thing for people, like for anyone to say in 2026. Everyone's like, oh, everyone's annoying. But I find humans so fascinating. I do love people. I really do. Like, I
You have
like to
such
read
a great
stories about
disposition. You
them and
do.
watch them. Like, yeah, I love people.
All right, well, let's talk about our people then. Let's get
Yeah,
into our
that's exactly why I'm
people.
excited to be here. We're about to talk about a lot of people, and they all have really interesting stories and decisions that they're making, right?
Exactly. So we're going to start with Vanderpump Rules today. And we've had Lala and Scheana. Have you heard about their friendship fallout? It happened maybe 4 or 5 months ago. And really, they've been coming back and forth at each other a lot on podcasts. It has died down quite a bit, but it seems like this all had to do with, I'm trying to even remember now. Lala didn't post about Sheena's book, and Scheana was a little upset about that. But then there was also something to do with Lala, I know. Lala also
It's
told,
so
I
real.
know, but it gets a little bigger in all fairness. I think Lala told Jenna Willis, who's a friend of the group, but not currently friends with Scheana. This girl was friends with Scheana. She was in her first wedding, but something happened. So she told Jenna Willis, like, hey, Sheena's going through some stuff right now. Give her a break. Brock cheated on her. You remember this rumor coming out from her
Yes.
book, right? So at this point in time, it's still a secret. There's only a few people who know, plus the people involved with the book. And then I guess Jenna went and told everyone, or went and told Zach Wickham, who then told everyone. So that's what I think this is really about. But at the end of the day, when it starts coming into the public forum, it's just so hard to like wheel it back. So we have Lala kind of talking on her podcast recently because she has the two now. She's got
Yeah.
her regular one, which is I don't even know what it's called
It's
now. Just
not, is it
Lala?
give, it's not Give Them Lala, is
No, is it
it?
just Lala? Pretty sure.
Something, it's her name connected to it. Yeah.
Something. And then An Unlikely Affair, which is the one that
Yes.
she's doing with Ambyr Childers. So on her original podcast, she's talking about the Ashley Tisdale mom group drama, which I'm sure we have all heard about. And her main beef with that is the whole concept of taking it to the streets when the kids are involved. And she's obviously
Mhm.
referring to Scheana in this regard. So I'm curious what you think about this because, we all know that what's these kids' names? Summer Moon and Ocean are
Ocean.
BFF. And Lala and Scheana created this whole family, like they call it, so that the kids can be friends and be together. But Scheana has said on her podcast that she's learned to set boundaries and she won't get together with Lala just for the sake of the kids. So, what do you think
That's
about
not
this
fair.
concept of bringing it to the media and how it affects the kids and all that kind of thing?
I mean, first of all, Summer Moon and Ocean are just names that make me feel like their kids are both cancers and born in June and July. Like those are like the only if that's not their zodiac sign, it should
I
be.
don't remember.
Like, you know what I mean? That doesn't it sound like very
Yeah.
like water moon energy. They sound like mermaid sirens. And I feel like, it's so funny because when it comes to these two women and their friendship, obviously that came before the kids. And so it's kind of like when your parents have a friend that you call like auntie or uncle, but it's just because it's like your parents' friend. So then you're friends with their kids because
Right.
that's just what happens. And maybe you go to different schools, but that's just like a family friend. And I don't think it's fair for the children who didn't necessarily choose, they wouldn't have been around these people anyway, if not for their parents. And there's just stuff that's disruptive in that, right? Obviously, if there's something that like is harming your family, which I think probably to Sheena's point is like you're talking about my husband and kids, and that kind of gets sticky. That can be harmful. But I think that when it comes to their own drama, you almost have to put it to the side for the sake of your kids. Like the kids
Right.
need their own opportunity to create their own friendships and it not be, I don't know, I guess so I'm not a parent, but it feels like so much of being a parent is modeling the behavior that you hope your kids would take away and do in their
Hmm.
future. And it's like, what are you teaching them when you're saying that you can't work through your friendship with each other and you have to bring in everybody else to judge your friendship and then you're going to take the court of public opinion to decide if you move forward or not. I don't know if that's like the best lesson, but
Yeah. It just made me remember something. Like I just had this core memory from being a child and my cousin. So I don't really have anyone in my family who's close to me in age, but my cousin was 3 years younger than me. And my mom and my aunt didn't get along. I never really knew why. I think my mom was actually kind of jealous of her. And so I remember being little with my cousin, but then we just stopped seeing them for many years. And when we were older, I reached out to her and I said, "Hey, I'm sorry our parents weren't friends when we were younger. It sucks because it seems like from what I can see online, we have a lot in common and we could have been great friends. Do you want to
Mhm.
hang out?" And she's like, "I moved to Israel for med
Oh
school. I'm
my
so sorry."
gosh.
But it's just sad that our parents kind of couldn't get it together because how great would it have been for me to have had a cousin close in age?
Exactly. Exactly. Well, and I think also for their girls, they're young, so they are going to have memories with each other. And like whether they come back together to have a friendship later on, I don't know. I feel like when it comes to from what I've learned about mom groups in the past few weeks because of the cut article and all these
Now we're
people speaking
experts.
out. Yeah, exactly. It feels like so much though is like, what are your expectations in your friendships when it comes to bringing kids in the fold?
Hmm.
And like, I think when expectations are misaligned, that's one thing. But also like, I don't know, I feel like I'm kind of a strict friend. So it went like, I guess I'll have to go through probably a version of this with people because I don't, I, I hold myself to a high standard and I like to hold my friends to a high standard as well of just like,
I'm the same.
how are we treating each other? Where's our level of like empathy and grace for one another? And so I don't know. I guess like because of when you bring in the reality TV of it all, it really does probably add a layer of stress to that relationship that probably has always existed. And so
Hmm.
you go like, how much grace have maybe the grace clock has run out for both of them. And then at
Yeah.
that point, maybe it's protecting their kids. Like, I don't know. I feel like we just don't know all of the details. Like, they need to maybe talk to the media more.
I know, right?
Then
Well,
we'll
my
know more.
understanding is like whenever I try to get more info, it's always really about the reality TV of it all and all of this kind of the jealousy and all of that. And it just
Yeah, it
makes
feels like
me,
it's like
ugh,
toxic sludge that has
yeah,
overlaid the relationship. And so it puts a bitter taste in your mouth when you go, oh, again, they're turning me into a storyline again. They're turning our
yeah,
friendship into something that's not sacred. And it's like, how many times can that happen? Whether it's through gossip, like, I don't know, like in real life, I'm not gossiping about my friends like that, you know?
right.
Like that's just like not what people are really like that's unrelatable, I think, in a lot of ways.
Thank you.
Like we're not just gossiping about our friends like that. And
Yeah,
so if you're not able to like separate from what should be storylines and what is safe in that space and what is actually you just being messy. Like you don't have to
yeah,
be messy with your friendships. Like you can be normal, you know?
yeah. And it's
Yeah.
almost like so much more dangerous when you bring it to the public arena like that. And
It
you would think that
is.
like if you ever really cared about me, and I really don't know whoever did, whoever was the first one to bring this to the media. I really
Sure.
don't know if it was Scheana or Lala, but still, it's that thing you can't take back, right? With like
You
the
can't take it
Beckhams of it all, right?
back.
It's out there now, and you can't take it back.
Yeah, and now you're
Yeah,
inviting other people to have a
to have an
conversation,
opinion.
and it's like, is that even fair or right? You know?
It's
So,
funny that you say that because somebody, Andy Cohen, had made a comment about the Beckhams. I'm only bringing this in just because of what you just said, but like, yeah, he made a comment about it, and then someone said online at Bravo, Andy, how dare you have an opinion about this? And I rarely comment on something that wasn't mine originally, but I was just like, well, the kids brought it to the media, or
yeah,
Brooklyn or whoever. Someone in the family brought this to the media. And once it's out there, it's for the media to consume and to respond to. That is what
exactly.
happens when you bring it to the media. So it is fair game for Andy to have an opinion. It would be weird if he didn't, because now it's out there in the media. So it's
Exactly.
for public consumption to respond.
Exactly. And I think people sometimes bring those topics up because they want to sway the public one way
Right.
or another. And sometimes it's not the choice, right? Like obviously there's all these PR plants and things that happen and stuff that like slips into the media where you didn't mean it to. But like for the most part, if you're making a choice to go on a podcast and then be like, actually, you know what she did to me? She did this to me. Like you're like you wanted someone to talk about it.
Yeah.
You
No,
did
for
want them to
sure.
talk about it. You were hoping that judgment would come and that everyone's judgment would be on your side.
Exactly.
Period.
So, in view of Lala's second podcast, which is the Unlikely Affair podcast that she does with Ambyr Childers. Now, a lot of people thought this idea of a podcast seemed super weird. A lot of people were like, "We don't want to hear any more about Randall. We've heard about this for years. She should get
Hmm.
over it." But I actually find the podcast interesting. I might be the only one, but for me, it's like we never really got to hear Amber's story from the
Yeah.
other end, right? She was never on Vanderpump Rules. And so, I mean, there wasn't a lot in this past week's episode, but in the week prior, she talked quite a bit about, numbing herself with drugs and knowing
Mhm.
that the cheating was happening and being not having enough boundaries within herself to leave. And I found that all really interesting and compelling. And the way that she actually said that the affair, once it really was brought to her attention, like in a way that she could not ignore it, is what actually sort of saved her and saved her life, and what
Mm.
made her set those boundaries, right? So she talked a little bit about meeting him this week in the Unlikely Affair episode, and she was talking about meeting Randall when she was only 17 years old, and how he was this big movie producer and she was this young actress, and he was sort of the embodiment of everything that she wanted to be. So it wasn't just about like being with him; it was almost like being like him. I
Mm.
don't know how old she was when they got together, but I believe she got pregnant very early, like 19 or 20. And I think
Wow.
there's a lot to be said for how much power imbalance and manipulation can go on when you meet someone so young in that kind of industry, and how that can kind of mess with you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I felt like the most interesting thing about listening to this show, and obviously they're still very early in what the show is, right? I think that was the third episode this past
Hmm.
week. And it felt like listening to an intimate phone call between two women who like despise their ex, right? And so they're kind of like grappling with the fact that this person changed their lives, right? To the like obviously they're both mothers and this is like the father of their children, whatever, but also changed their lives in ways that like as they've gotten older, they've been able to reflect more. And I thought at first I quickly Googled their ages because I was like, how old is Amber? Like, is Lala like this, like, so much younger woman than Amber? And it's like, oh no, they're only like 3 years apart. Like,
Oh my gosh, I
they're
didn't know
not
that.
even that far apart in age. And so, like, that kind of adds another layer because I was like,
That's
oh, was he
interesting.
just trying to like replace Amber with Lala? And it's like, no, not really, because they're kind of almost similar in age, but they seem so clearly different in disposition. And they mentioned that, like, Amber says that she felt like Lala and Randall had a friendship, but she felt like her and Randall never had that. So when you talk
That's
about like
interesting.
this age difference, I think that because of the way that Lala and Randall probably met each other, because he like kind of was like her and like kind of it seemed like he kind of like beelined to her.
Hmm.
She being Lala, who is this big personality, she was less enamored by the fact that like, oh, he has all this power. She was more like, what can this guy get me?
Yeah.
And what made her realize she didn't want him anymore, this is what she says on the show, is like she's like, I didn't care about the things anymore. I didn't care about the stuff because I got to a point where I could buy my own stuff. And going on the jet sucked because he was there. And you were like, that's actually being on the boat sucked because we were together. Like it would have
Yeah.
been better to do that by myself. And I don't know if Amber got to that place with Randall. It felt like because she met him so young and because she almost put him on a pedestal, it created
Mm.
this dynamic where she was more like needy in that. And so her healing was like her self-worth and rising in that. And it feels like Lala's healing was I don't need chaos anymore. I actually need stability. And like
Yeah.
in that, that's created a friendship with each other because they both are kind of looking for the same thing. And so I thought that was really beautiful. But I'm like, this
That
is so
that is beautiful. The
intimate.
way you just described that is so beautiful.
That's how I read it. And I'm like, are we meant to be listening to this conversation? Because it sounds really intimate.
It's
Like
interesting
I
that you
feel like
say
I
that
am in it.
because I've been trying to articulate how I feel about it. I think last week I said it feels like I'm watching a like a Netflix documentary or something like that.
Yeah,
So maybe
no, it
it's something
is
that we're
that.
not. It's something very intimate, something that. But at the same time, I'm very interested in it, right? Like I
Yeah.
still feel compelled to hear this story. Like we saw Randall and Lala's relationship play out. That I'm not interested in. But everything that happened on the back end just really wasn't a part of her story. And especially now
No.
that she's more open about telling the truth about what was going on back then, it does give us a lot of more insight into her, into Amber. And I do think their relationship is beautiful. And the fact that they can all be together with the kids and that
Yeah.
Amber can spend time with like Sosa, a child that is no what related to her whatsoever. But at the same time, she said a couple episodes back that like how Ocean is a child that is like a piece of him, but also a
Yeah.
piece of Lala, and she can love that child. And I just think that's so amazing and beautiful. And whoever knew that we would get there out of this, but
Yeah.
I think it has brought them something that they both needed, like you said, and I don't think it's
Yeah,
a
like
bad thing.
they're obviously healing each other in a really interesting way. And it seems like they both, sobriety plays a really big part in that for them,
Mhm.
which I think that when people go through, they were talking about that they do 12 step. And it feels like, from what I know about that program, it is about people holding themselves accountable. And so I
Mhm.
wonder if, like, through that accountability, it allowed them to forgive each other
Yeah.
because it's really big of Amber to be like, you blew up my marriage and I will be cool with you anyway because I want our kids to be sisters. Like, can you imagine? Like, that is like, that's, like that's a woman. Like, that is like, she's like, I am putting everything aside because family. And like, I don't know. I feel like that's just such an interesting kind of perspective to even, I don't know many people who would do that, you know?
We don't. And that's why we're fascinated in knowing the
It
why of
is,
it all, which is what the
yeah,
podcast is for. And so
yeah.
that's why I'm not hating on the podcast. I kind of
No,
like
I'm
it.
not either. I was like, oh, this is kind of nice. And I, to your point, yeah, it is kind of feel like a Netflix documentary. It's kind of like, I don't know if you ever listened to the show This American Life, like that
Yes.
podcast. It's like
Yeah.
kind of that where you're like,
Yeah.
oh, is this just like a phone conversation that they
Right.
just decided would be the public records of the phone calls that they're having? It's so funny. I wonder what
Yeah.
Randall thinks of the show.
I heard he sent them a legal letter, but I'm sure they're doing whatever they're doing legally.
No
Like, of,
way.
of course he is, but like,
Why would you do
they,
that? It's like the mother of your children. Don't you want them to be financially successful and build a life? Like, you know what I mean? No, he wants them
I
to
think
need
there's
them.
nothing worse for a man to see his two exes band together.
I love it.
Really
It's like
does.
John Tucker Must Die version. I like it.
Okay, let's move on to Summer House. And for some reason, you don't watch this. And first, I need to know why.
You know
That's
what's
my
so
first
funny?
question.
I think I have seen one or two episodes of Summer House. And the only reason why I know I've seen one or two episodes is because when Sierra Miller was on Traitors last
Hmm.
season, I was like, oh, this girl looks familiar. And then I went to go watch her two first episodes of Summer House, and then I like never returned. And I think it's for the same reason why I never really watched Vanderpump Rules either, but I do watch The Valley. And so maybe there's this like, I don't know. I guess like I grew up,
Relatability that you have with
yeah,
a different group of people in a different stage of life.
I think so. Like I grew up watching a lot of The Real World, and like Bad Girls Club and like, like The Flavor of Love. See, like, and so like that's a version of reality TV with younger people that like is chaotic and fun. But I felt like with Summer House, I don't know. I guess I just never really give it a chance. And then at a certain point, it's like the ship has sailed and everyone's talking about it. And there's like seasons and seasons. And I'm like, will I ever catch up? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if I'll ever catch up.
I have faith in you. You need to make more time in the day. I know it's a
People
difficult time
comment,
right now with the Traitors.
yeah,
There's so much on, but
there's so much on. No, people will comment on my socials and they'll be like, please watch Summer House and talk about that, talk about it. And I'm like, I feel like it's so much to catch up on, but maybe I will one day and I'll make it a whole thing and be like, I'm watching Summer House from the beginning.
they're not like us. We'll just say
Yeah,
that.
okay, well, there we go.
Let me see if I can give a quick education and then we'll get into the Kyle and Amanda of it all.
Please tell me. Please tell me.
Okay, so we are going into season 11 of this show. The concept of the show is a bunch of people who are friends in the city that used to work 9 to 5 type of jobs and then go to the Hamptons on the weekend to release, relax, recharge. Kyle, Bravo or whoever had the original idea had put out like a casting call, and Kyle Cook had seen it, or a friend of his had seen it, and it was something that Kyle had already been doing with his friends for years, going up to Montauk and having these crazy parties. In addition to some of the other people that were cast initially on the show, like Lindsay
So
Hubbard and
he's an OG
yes,
cast
Lindsay
member. Okay.
and these twins whose names I forget. We'll get there. The
Okay.
Workus Circus. Workus. Their last name was Workus, and people called them the Workus Circus.
Hilarious.
Ashley and something. So that was the concept of the show. And Kyle sort of came to the audition with like, no, 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 you guys don't understand. The Hamptons is for old people. You guys need to come to one of our parties in Montauk. We'll show you how it's done. And so that's how he was like sort of integrally involved at the beginning. Now, he had been dating this girl, Amanda, casually. She was not a booty call, but she was not a girlfriend. He had been dating her for like 7 to 8 months. Sorry, guys, I just did a deep dive on Kyle. That's why I know all of this stuff. It's not just like
I
sitting
love
on top
it.
of my brain.
I need the context, so I
I'll give
appreciate
I'll give you the deep dive. So he's dating this girl, but he's like, that's not what you do in the Hamptons. Okay. We go to party every summer. We're also going to be on a show. I got to be able to do me. So he does. And he's not with her in the summer, but she ends up staying at a summer share house with her friends, only like 10 minutes away. So he calls her up like every night at 4 a.m. for the first summer. He's like, hey, booty call, booty call. By the end of the summer, he realizes this is the girl for me. I want to be with her.
Oh,
Now,
okay.
for the rest of the series, he has cheated on her. One of these instances he claims he doesn't recall. Some of them were never able to be proven. But the main thing about Kyle as an entity, even though he was 34 years old when he started this show, he said,
He was 34 when he started the show,
which means he's 44 now. Okay.
Fascinating. Okay, I thought everyone was in their 20s.
I think everyone else was, or like, and they did do a lot of casting changes. So in that first 3 seasons, it was sort of like an older 30s crowd. And then I think they decided to recast a bit. So they got rid of the Workus Circus. They got rid of their one gay person, Stephen McGee. And then they cast a bunch of younger people who were supposed to be Amanda's friends. Now, these were not Amanda's actual friends. This was Paige DeSorbo, Hannah Berner, and a guy named Jordan.
Got it. Okay. I know the names. I'm locked in. Okay.
And they all used to work together at Betches, and that's how they knew each other.
Got it. Okay.
But yeah, Amanda hadn't really known them, but I think they tried to transition younger. But Kyle has always been, you know how we talk about when we talked about like Lala and Randall being like different ages, but sort of being able to be friends, probably because he was immature and she was in a different stage of life. They were able to find that. And so Amanda was always very mature, and that's why Kyle was always able to relate to her, but Kyle was always very immature. And so despite starting this show at 34 years old, he's always had that Peter Pan mentality that every Bravo show starts with, where he's like, summer should be fun, and that is his main mentality. So,
love that for him.
Love that for him. But at the same time, it's 10 years later and he's in the same place. So it's
that's
totally
what
fine.
Happens with women though, right? It's like if you meet someone younger and when you're younger and they're older and they're immature and you're mature, there is actually, you meet in the middle somewhere.
Right.
But like you get older as a woman and you're like, you learn more about what you like and what you don't like and what you're going to tolerate and what you're not. And then you're like, this actually, we are now two planes on different levels. And why aren't we matching up anymore, even though we did beforehand? That's so interesting. So this is like playing out on the show. Like we're
Yes.
in real time each season. Everyone is kind of seeing this relationship be
Yes.
messy and chaotic and like not matching.
They're not aligned mostly for the fact that Amanda is more like a homebody. She just likes to be home, do her own thing, and she's a little bit more introverted. She's also dealt with mental health issues with depression, and that just sort of makes you sort of incubate yourself sometimes as well. That's just sort of how she deals. Now, Kyle is a
Yeah.
very party person. He likes to be out till
Mm,
4 a.m. And in my opinion, when I was doing my research for my deep dive, I really felt like the point for them should have been the point that they moved in together, because when you move in with someone that you're not married to, the point of it is to try it out and pretend to be married and to see what it's like. And Kyle was very vocal at that time, being like, I don't like how lazy she is. I don't like how she doesn't pick anything up. I don't like how she doesn't work. I don't like all these things. I hope these change. And I remember his mom saying, you can't expect her to change. You need to love her for who she is or not marry her. And that's sort of what they both ended up doing. They both went into a marriage knowing that they had such huge lifestyle differences, which, listen, we all have lifestyle differences from people, but theirs were so contradictory that
mm,
it ended up really impacting their marriage. So when you say watching this play out, yes, but at the same time, we've been watching the same thing for 10 years because
got it.
they have been having these exact same issues for 10 years. They are in two different stages of life. And
Mm.
Kyle, at the point in time when Amanda's like, I want to settle down and have kids, he's like, I want to be a DJ. So the fact that he wants to start a career as a DJ at 43,
Oh,
44 years old,
okay,
this is never
Meredith
going to work
Marks.
out.
Giving
Exactly.
Meredith Marks. Yeah.
So there's been a couple of for the past couple of months, we definitely noticed like a separation between them.
Got it.
He's been doing this traveling DJ tour in Canada, right?
Are people
And
going?
it looks like people are going, but the venues, I mean, these are like little clubs, right? I mean,
Got
what's
it.
his name? James Kennedy,
That's what
like
I was going to
go,
bring up. Is it like, because I feel like James Kennedy actually like was getting traction in a crowd for a period of time,
you
right? Like he was
can,
at
but like,
Coachella.
yes, no, Coachella's huge, but when they're doing like these little clubs in Toronto, they're not like
Yeah.
that huge. And if I'm being honest, like I haven't been to a club in quite some time, so I
Yeah.
don't really know. But from what
I
it
would just be
seems,
curious because it's like if you're gonna do all of that, I mean, I get it because like if you're a DJ, it's basically like getting a club appearance fee, but you just are like pushing, but
yeah,
not obviously being a DJ is very hard work. I'm not like lowering that, but like if you're not a real DJ, you could just push buttons that on a pre-made mix. You could do that. People do that. Like
right.
that's a way
I
to do
don't
it.
know. I do remember
And so
him taking like
we don't
DJ
know his ins and outs. We don't know
classes.
his ins and outs, but I'm
Yes,
just saying it is basically getting a club appearance fee if he is someone who wants to party. And so it
exactly.
makes sense that that's what he would want to do. But then that doesn't make sense for like his wife, who he's been, how long have they been married? Like 5 years?
They've been married for 4 years, but we like to consider this a 10-year thing because when they're saying in the news 4 years, it just doesn't feel like that because they've been together for
Yeah,
10
they were
and they've
together for the years before they got married, which they, it
right,
sounds like they should have never got married because they didn't have
exactly.
alignment.
Right.
But
They're just not aligned.
how old was she when they got married? Was she like in her
When
20s?
they got married, she would have been like 25, 26. But when they got
Oh, she
together,
was
she was
young.
like 24, something like that. So the past
Oh.
couple of months, they just haven't been together physically, and people have started to notice. So they made a statement this past Monday, which says, after much reflection, we have mutually and amicably decided to part ways as a couple. We share this with a heavy heart and kindly ask for your grace and support while we focus on our personal growth and healing. It feels ironic to ask for privacy during this time since we've always tried to be open and honest about our relationship, but your kindness and respect will go a long way as we try to navigate this next chapter, Amanda and Kyle. And then a podcaster, Adam Glynn, who has the Hollywood Raw podcast, he ran into Kyle on the street, super random, and did an interview with him. So I'm going to play that now. Can you hear it?
How you doing, man? It's been a tough week. How you feeling? I mean, it's a crazy week. Are you doing all right mentally? Emotionally?
Yeah, look, I think when the timing's right, I think people will be surprised, but also happy to see that Amanda and I are in a good spot. And obviously the internet's going to do its thing, but we a little bit like we literally pushed send together and we closed it down.
Yeah.
So I mean, I've been in talks with a whole week, so it's a lot to swallow. Like when your entire relationship from the very beginning was on TV. So we knew it wasn't gonna be easy.
Yeah, and but like a month ago, I thought you guys were. I saw you behind the DJ booth like together. So I was like,
Yeah.
was everything good a month ago?
I mean, like, there's still a lot of love. I mean, that's it's both the hard part, but also what's making this easier for the both of us.
Yeah. I'm sure it's tough for both of you too, and obviously you wanted to do right by her. Are you guys still living together at the moment, or is it?
We have separated. It started as like living separately, and people kind of picked up on that.
Yeah.
And she's in a big building, all the kind of accounts, like people kind of DMing them like Kyle's working in Thailand and this big building. So it was like the worst kept secret, but we just weren't really ready to.
So I guess the internet people are thinking that Bravo sort of pushed the announcement 2 weeks before the new season's about to end. So was there any?
No, that was just us.
That was just you guys.
Yeah, I mean, we don't want to. It's a tough topic, right? But yeah, we're gonna get asked 1,000 questions.
Yeah,
about our relationship based on the trailer, itself. So we decided on just kind of like rip the Band-Aid off.
At what point were you guys separated though? Was it this week or is it a month ago?
Get into
No,
because I don't even know how we want to. We're still figuring this out.
That's what I was thinking. The thing is, I don't want to sound low. I just want to make it clear. You're not divorced. It's just separate. You're just trying to take a break and just figure things out.
We started, we weren't we didn't split. We didn't separate. We were trying to figure out the best way to give our relationship, another shot. And ultimately we decided, all right, we don't want to give each other false hope. We don't want to give our friends and family false hope. We don't want to give fans false hope. So we kind of came out with a statement, pretty spur of the moment, just kind of like nip it in the bud. And it's tough, but
is there a chance of you guys coming back together? Are you just like at what point are you guys?
We don't know. Like, there's no playbook.
No,
we were very much on the same page. Where like we knew we needed to create some space. We knew things have been tough. People have seen it. This is not as a lot of people said. This is not some big surprise. But
do you think the media had anything to play with? The fans had anything to play with? Because I feel like
look, we as hard as it is to have tough skin. Last thing we were ever going to do is make some type of decision about our relationship and our marriage based on the show or the new show. The fan, we've really had to just be in a vacuum and figure out what's best for us.
Did the other cast members reach out? Did they find out that day that you guys were separated? The other cast members?
It's kind of been. It's kind of hard to say. Everyone, depends how like in contact you are with us. Everyone's kind of been learning at a different pace. But I have to get to it.
One last thing. Would you? I know we're still so far away. Let's say you're in this position 6 months later. Summer House, they're going to film another season. Would you go on it again? And would you do it with like?
I think. Look, we're going to do some press next week together.
Yeah,
we'll do Watch What Happens together. Like we're not in a place. This isn't like a big breakup where there's a smoking gun and there's a lot of hate. There's absolutely some frustration, right? Like, I've done things, she's done things. But we got each other's back. We care about each other. We still love each other. So, in a world where it makes sense to both film Summer House again.
One last. I remember Loverboy. There was a little bit in any business or something. Is there a fear for you to like her because of the relationship you guys had, like contractually, that she might get some of your dick?
Yeah, I've seen a bunch of videos pop up of us talking about like divorce and the financial implications. I don't think a lot of people really understand like the intricacies of my business to begin with. Is there debt? Yeah, we took a small business, but I took a small business.
Sure.
I actually have no idea, but like we don't really plan to get to that point.
Yeah, I do. I'm glad. Like, it seems like you're just dealing with it. You're trying to take it day by day. And again, I think it's what people need. You're not divorced. You're just separated right at the moment. And hopefully, I guess, are you hopeful?
I just hope that we both find happiness, whatever the heck that looks like. You know what I mean? Like it's been a tough couple of years. People have seen some of the cracks form.
All right, that gives us the main points. Okay, lots to break down there.
What do you mean we don't want to get to that point? We announced a separation, but we don't plan to get divorced. Like, free our girl. I just
think
met
the
Amanda. She just
interviewer is
became
kind of
my
pressing
girl.
it to more towards like, oh, this is, you guys are just separated. Like, this is new news. But like, that's not the message that we got. It's not like we
No.
are separating and taking some time apart and we're gonna. It sounds like you guys are gonna get divorced, but it sort of sounds like from the interviewer he doesn't want that. He's trying to push away from it.
Like, I'm like, wait, we're not aligned right now. They're definitely not together. Amanda just became my girl within like the 10 minutes that you've told me about this. I feel like we're supposed to be on Amanda's side. And like, what do you mean you don't know you're free that girl and let her find her husband? What are we doing?
There's that. I mean, I think she's gonna have such an easy time finding someone. She's such a cool girl. I heard someone describe her in this way, and I'll never forget it. She's Bravo's Hailey Bieber. And
she's gorgeous.
Yes, the way she dresses, like she has this really dressed down but really classy look that just really works for her. But the really interesting thing about Amanda is she was never a reality TV girly. She was a graphic designer who just met someone who ended up on TV. And I understand that she's been on TV for 10 years, but it's sort of interesting that the world just thinks, okay, she'll continue doing that, or that they both will, because everyone's trying to figure out now what happens with the shows. Because another piece of context I had to tell you is that it seems as though they were trying to transition some of the older characters of this show into a new show, sort of like they were going to be doing with Vanderpump Rules to the Valley. So there was a show that started filming in September that ended in November called In the City. And it's supposed to star Lindsay Hubbard, Amanda and Kyle, and a couple of the other characters because Lindsay has a baby now, right? So it doesn't really make sense for her to be going to the Hamptons every weekend. So that was the purpose of this show. So people are sort of wondering, what does that mean? Does that mean Kyle then goes back to Summer House? Because he's still going to be a partier until he's like 50. So he stays on that show. And then Amanda stays on the new show. Or are we going to be actually watching the demise of their marriage through both of these shows, which is going to be kind of interesting for us as podcasters to sort of do that backwards work. But it reminds me of like Craig and Paige, for example, when you're watching a season of Summer House and then you're watching a season of Southern Charm and you're literally watching it all happen, and it gets kind of like boring and redundant. Do we pick up cameras like Bravo always likes to do? But there was nothing shocking that happened, right? You're going to pick up the cameras, go to the other cast members and be like, are you shocked? And they'll be like, not really. So I don't really know how impactful that would be. But I guess, I know you don't have a lot of the context because you don't know a lot of the people, but
I don't have context, but I always have opinions. I always have an opinion. I feel like it's the whole showcasing a relationship that's on the demise and then making this announcement right before the show airs. Very smart, very crafty, right? I feel like this woman, Amanda, is gorgeous. She's going to find someone new, if she even wants someone new. But I feel like she's probably going to level up. Like, she just looks like she has all of the capacity and kind of has the tool sets and the people around her to level up her life. And I think that once you have in your head that you want to do that, it probably makes it really hard for her to want to stay. So as much as like, I think obviously marriage is very sacred, I think it's really hard for people to, end a marriage. It feels like from what you're saying, it was over before it started. And so if it was over before it started and now she has the wherewithal to be like, what do I actually want out of my life? And do I want to be the wife of a DJ that's just getting started and like building again versus being ready to like build something new, which is a family structure, stability? That feels like a reason that you're at an impasse and might not be able to make it work, right? I think like when it comes to and I think when it comes to the show and showcasing all of this, like obviously on this new season of Summer House, it will be showcased what happens and why it happened. But I do feel like, do you want to, I'm going to think about the Valley and like how we saw like Jax and Brittany, and like once it gets to that point, it kind of gets ugly. Yeah. And there's not a lot to really glean from it other than like, this is a bad relationship that both people need to get out of, period. And so it's like, how much of that does anyone need to see when it's been years of a bad relationship that they shouldn't have been in? So I don't know I wonder if for Kyle, obviously he wants to keep his job. I never advocate for reality TV people losing their jobs, which I know is an unpopular thing to do, but whatever, everyone try to keep your jobs that you have. But like, I feel like she obviously would need to be on a different show that has a different kind of storyline for her, where we get to see her rebuild her life. Because I feel like seeing that with all of the girls from Vanderpump Rules, A lot of the housewives go through that. Like that's a very like common story arc that gets shown on Bravo. And obviously
Right.
all of us viewers love it. We love to see like the comeback story. Like, oh, she's wearing hot clothes and she looks good and she has a new man. Like that's always fun to watch. Like I want to see that part of Amanda's story. Kyle, I don't know if I want to see him date someone. Like sounds like he
Yeah.
should have figured it out before.
But what I like what you said and what I don't like that he said is that she needs to be on a different show. Like maybe right now you guys are amicable, but there's something to be said about like breaking up a relationship and never talking to them again. Like on reality TV, I realize that's not a possibility, but come on.
No.
Not everybody has to spend the rest of their lives being on TV with their ex, right? You guys are fine right now. And okay, you're going to do some press together, but to truly to be able to move on, you guys cannot be on the same show. This is not realistic. I don't think this is something that either of us should fight for. I know you're not a Summer House girly, but I'm sure you know about the history between Carl and Lindsay and how they were two cast members, got together, and then decided to continue being on the show together after. Like, how awky for us. Right?
It's because everyone wants to keep their job. It's like, you know, Jackson, Brittany being like, we're going to still do our podcast. Remember they said that?
Oh,
like,
God.
like, okay, yeah, let's try. Let's see how long it goes when as soon as someone starts dating someone else, everyone spins, makes everyone get spinny. I mean, I guess the good thing with Amanda and Kyle is that they never had children together. So it probably makes it an easier split, but it still is.
Yeah. And no property.
Yeah. But like, you don't want to see someone move on. Like, it's all, you know, like give everyone a break.
Exactly. And when he was talking about like the Loverboy of it all, so Loverboy is his alcohol brand. It's like it's like a cider. He would kill me if because it's 10 years of this show and I'm not even sure what Loverboy is. Loverboy is in
Sounds
debt.
Like his fault.
Okay. It's always his fault. Loverboy is in a significant amount of debt. And Kyle and Amanda didn't have a prenup. And so there's a lot of clips that are going viral online of Amanda on a podcast saying, like, yes, I should have gotten a prenup. I know how important it is now. Despite the fact that Loverboy is in debt, and I do believe that Amanda has equity now that she's his wife, I still believe that if you get divorced, you don't have to split everything and that he can say, yeah, I'm taking the debt from my company and removing you from that and remove her from the company or something. That's what I assume that they will do. Again, divorce does crazy things to people, but as it stands right now, right here, I cannot imagine him trying to split the debt with her.
Okay, so when that part came up in the interview, in my mind, I'm thinking like, oh my God, like, why do we know so much about everybody? Like, you know what I mean?
Like he's constantly complaining about his debt.
Like we are like literally into knowing this man's debt and like where their relationship is going to go. Like they didn't have to tell us that, I guess, you know what I mean? But I guess at a certain point when
why
you're
we
like,
know it, but
no, like, you know what I mean? Like we are like, so like, oh, we're in so deep, like, you know, and it's like at that point, free my girl. Like
free my girl. Free Amanda.
Like literally free Amanda. Like let her go find her husband and live her life with her future children and happiness. You know what I mean?
What do you think about the fact that every post that's coming out about this, he's liking them or putting little sad faces?
It's weird.
It's
free her.
It's like smiley face, sad face. It's
for the 15 minutes I know about this, I just feel like Amanda deserves it all.
We concur. Okay, a little bit more of Summer House / Southern Charm news. Now, do you know Vanita?
Okay, so I recently learned about Vanita because she is so adorable, so cute, so stylish. And I learned that everyone's like wants to protect Vanita because she has some castmates that maybe don't stick up for her in the best way. And so like she's kind of on an island on the show. That's as much as I know. And that she looks so good. And that Sierra Miller was like, I feel bad for Vanita because everyone sucks. And that's as far as I go. She's gorgeous. Gorgeous girl.
Fair enough. And I think you have a really good grasp on what's going on there. She does sort of struggle on her show because her best friend is Sally, but Sally is sort of betraying her in a sort of way. Vanita has always sort of had to swim on her own. I don't really understand why on this show, but she has recently kind of befriended Carl Radke from Summer House. Now, Carl is also an OG. They have gone on a couple of dates. Vanita's even talked about it on the Not Skinny But Not Fat podcast. But then Sally said, oh, no, that's not going anywhere. So I was just like, oh, okay, done. But then we see that Carl and Vanita are in London together this past weekend. Now, Austin Kroll is also there from Southern Charm, and they seem to be at a soccer game. So I don't know if this is like a branded type of thing, but still, they were on a plane together, probably slept in the same hotel. He's sober, so he's very sweet, and he really cares about like something stupid like More Life. That is the name of his new podcast, by the way. He just started a podcast called More Life. It's a stupid thing that he used to say when he was under the influence. But yeah, he really seems to be caring more about his life and about creating a future for himself. He's created this bar called Soft Bar, which is a non-alcoholic bar where you can get drinks, but not just drinks. They're drinks with other kinds of benefits, like health benefits. So he's really into that. He's really passionate about it. I mean, he really had his shitty point in time where he was using and, you know, he wasn't his best self, but he's been sober for many years now. He's a pretty good guy in all of the communications that I've had with him. And I think this might be nice for Vanita. Like, Vanita deserves a man.
It sounds cute. It sounds so cute. Okay, so like, this is my thing. Is I feel like the friend saying like it's not going anywhere. I feel like she had her PR points, and like if you're my friend, don't be telling my business. You know what I mean? Like you gotta keep it quiet.
I'm not sure where they are right now either.
Yeah,
Sally
keep it
and Vanita.
Cute,
so
keep it cute, keep it mute. You know, and so I feel like that's what Sally was doing, and like I think that Carl would be crazy to not think Vanita is like so pretty. She's just like a little doll, and so like. She's so cute and she dresses well and like, you know, so I feel all these girls are like adorable, by the way. Like Amanda also dropped dead stunning. And so I feel like the guys would be crazy to not want to talk to them. And, you know, I hope Vanita has a long option of suitors and that she can pick and choose.
I hope she does too, because she's kind of gone through it. Like we saw her with this guy, I think his name was Mike, and he was from New York. That's the other problem though, because Carl lives in New York, right? Are we gonna make Vanita move? Because her relationship with this guy, Mike,
the Carolinas.
Yeah, so it's a 2-hour flight, but we saw this with Paige and Craig over the years. Like at some point, someone has to move. So I don't know if he's necessarily the best fit just because of that reason. Because
he's a good fit for a fun time. That's what it is, Dana. You know,
okay, maybe not a long time, just a good time.
A fun time, a good time, and also like I think that there's something about this Bravo sphere with the stars that are of that age group where they're probably around each other just so much. And it's like when you're on a college campus, there's always going to be like, oh, who's that? Oh, they're cute. Oh, who's that? Oh, they're cute. Oh, maybe we talk. Oh, we had a little flirtation. Like, I feel like that's just like part of the charm of it all. No pun intended. And so I think that like, you know, it could be a brand thing, but also there's nothing wrong with having a colleague that's a little cute and everyone can like chit chat a little bit more. Like they probably are just friends, but you know, he probably wants more and she's probably like, I don't know. Being
as long as it all stays cute and fun and we don't get any more, because like
no more blowouts. Yeah.
No more blowouts between the shows where it's like the Southern Charm War versus the Summer House War. We can't have that.
I agree. I agree with that. I think it's just like too much overlap.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to the Traitors because I just want to make sure that we have enough time. So we're just going to recap it super quickly, and then a whole bunch of stuff happened this past weekend that we're going to have to get into.
Yeah.
All right. So this week we finally only got one episode, which is kind of nice just because there's so much coming out on Thursdays. Not that I don't love TV. It's a lot when they're doing like 2 or 3 episodes. I personally loved Rob and Ron's friendship. I thought that really came through in this episode because we see Rob as like this, I don't know, this weirdo kind of guy from like Love Island who's really hot, but maybe kind of a jerk. But then we see Ron talking about how Rob is very kind and he has good Southern values and the way he is with his family. And I don't know, I just thought that was so sweet to see a friendship built out of this. And it showed that Rob was sort of, you know, displaying a little bit of emotion because he was like, I'm supposed to vote against him, but I don't want to because I like him and I want to keep him around.
It felt like it showed a version of Rob that felt like a real person, you know, because I feel like sometimes on Love Island, it's so funny. When I think about like Rob's time on Love Island, I used to joke that he was a plant. Like I was like, this guy's an actor. Like he's not being a real person at all. This is like so dramatic. And like, I also was like, well, he'll be great on the Traitors because he's basically an actor and he doesn't even know he's an actor. You know what I mean? But he's acting, he's in scene. And so like to see what was happening with Ron, it was like, oh, this is when he was like, I'm tired of being a traitor and I wish I was a faithful. When he said that, I was like, I could understand how exhausting it is that you're lying to people for days at a time. Like, it's like, they're like there for a few weeks and you're lying every single day. And like the drama of that is probably overwhelming. So to be like, I like this one person and I wish that this one person that I can just talk to can be good. But I also feel like Ron knew that Rob was a traitor, but he wasn't going to out him. I feel like Ron knew. Yeah, I feel like Ron was saying that like in an ironic way to be like, it doesn't matter that I think you're a traitor because I'm going home. And so in this moment, we can be friends because It doesn't matter. Like, you know, by the way, Ron Funches, he has such a great stand-up set. If you haven't seen it,
I posted a couple
yeah,
clips. He's
he's
hilarious.
hilarious. He's so funny. I saw him at an event a few years ago. It was like Seth Rogen's Alzheimer hilarity for charity event, and Ron performed. And like he has a little bit of a bit about being a dad in his stand-up set. And it's so sweet to like see how much he loves his son and how much he cares about his son's like well-being. And so for him to be on this show, and you know, he had a storm of hate, and then he kind of got a better edit where everyone was like, wait, we're hating on Ron way too much. He's adorably sweet. And it was nice for that to like the stand-up set to align with who we finally
Yeah.
saw on the show. And then he went home. So
Right.
yeah.
But it was so interesting to watch him leave because he did it in sort of like a different way, right? And he's also, I like how he sort of called everyone out at the table because he's like, you guys never spoke again about being wrong about Michael because we didn't like Michael. But you guys keep coming at me for being wrong about Portia when, you know, we've all made mistakes at this table. And so I really appreciated that
I
because it was
loved it.
very true. And then the way he sort of ended up going around and being like, you know, I really enjoyed meeting you. You were lovely, this and that. I think that's when it was fucking everybody up. And they're like, there's no way he's a traitor. Like, how could he be a traitor if he's saying goodbye to everyone so kindly? Right? I think he was fucking with everyone, right? I don't know. Oh, poor Ron.
No, it was like actually, if he was a traitor, that would have been the smartest gameplay. But a traitor wouldn't have even thought to do that because I think they're thinking about too many other angles. Like speaking of the traitors at the round table, that I was surprised, and I'm sure we'll get to it. But like Lisa Rinna not outing Colton for coming to her to say, I feel like if you're a traitor, let's do a deal. Like, I don't know why she didn't bring that to the round table. That would have been the perfect time to be like, I think he's a traitor because I think he was trying to do a deal with me. And even if he's not a traitor, he's a really bad faithful.
You're absolutely right.
And we should send him home for that. Like that would have been such a good housewives moment. And she didn't weaponize the information she had. And I was like waiting for her to weaponize her information because that's like what Lisa Rinna is so good at. And she just didn't do it that episode.
Why do you think she didn't?
I think she literally got caught off guard.
Yeah.
I think she genuinely was like
so caught
on
off
her
guard.
She was like literally on her back step. And because there was kind of a couple moments I was like, first of all, him coming to her and saying that, she could have blown it up to be like, I can't believe you're doing this, and been like, you're a bad faithful. And she could have just like really made a scene. And had she made a scene, the round table would have never gone where people were voting for her anyway. So I think she kind of played her cards wrong. Where she should have been like, oh, do you want a scene? I'll give you one because you're a bad faithful, and made it be a whole thing. And everyone would have been like, Colton has to go. Because they were already sick of him anyway. But she didn't know that.
Absolutely right.
Yeah, that's what
that would have been the way
her.
to play it. And it's funny you say make a scene because that's what seems to be throwing Colton off. First, he's like, it's my understanding in the housewives world that a housewife doesn't go against a housewife. And this is a cardinal rule. And because she went against Portia,
which I feel like
she
he
must
made that
be a
up.
traitor, which is just not true. And you don't watch enough housewives to know anything. That's literally what they do to each other all day long. Destroy, destroy, destroy.
Exactly.
And second of all, I really liked what Lisa was trying to explain, where she's like, you know, you have this expectation of me to blow up or to be big or to be a housewife. I was Lisa fucking Rinna before the housewives. I am Lisa fucking Rinna after, right? And that can mean a lot of different things. And, you know, I see what you're saying about those expectations, but I think that even us as audience members, we have these expectations of these people. We know that Dorinda will act like this. We're expecting Candace to start crying with a cry angle. We have these expectations, but I really like what you said earlier about how these people are characterizations of themselves. So it's almost like a little bit elevated of a version. Plus, we only see them for such small amounts of time. So we really don't know. We have these expectations based on these gimmicky things that we wear on shirts and we hear them say and that and this and that. But like, we don't really know. And so maybe that isn't who Lisa Rinna really is.
Totally. Well, I love that she checked him. Yeah, no, she checked him. She was like, first of all, let me tell you about me really quick. And I felt like that was also really cool of her, though, because in that moment, I feel like she was actually doing a thing of being like, women are multidimensional. And I feel like she was able to kind of like platform and say that like we could be many things. We don't have to be just what you want me to be. And like you wanting to put me in a corner or in a box is actually what has never happened because I am Lisa Rinna. Like, you know what I mean? Like that was kind of like, I think a very powerful moment for her to like reclaim what her narrative will be and be like, I won't be who you want me to be. I will be who I am because that's who I am. Speaking of Dorinda, who has been very quiet on this show, and like her using that against Lisa to be like, yeah, Lisa's been quiet. It's like, Dorinda, you've been quiet.
Yeah.
What are we talking about?
She's
You
just
know?
making it too nice.
She
And I
is,
just,
you know what I mean? Like she's worried. The only person that hasn't been quiet that's a housewife is Candace, and I worry for Candace every episode. I'm like, Candace, shut up. You are gonna
being too
get
loud.
caught because you're just
Yeah.
yapping. But then I guess at a certain point, her yapping is actually saving her because everyone just goes, oh, that's just what she does. And so it's fine. But I'm like, when she did the conga line, I was like concerned. I was
But she's doing that. I'm
concerned.
like, why aren't people put off by this? Because it's not a typical thing
Concerned.
that people do.
No,
Like,
I was
why?
worried, but now it's come out that they talked about the conga line
Okay.
before, and that was like in this week they were like, "Oh no, we talked about it, and that's why she did it." So, yeah, it's crazy.
What do you think about Rob voting for Lisa? That was a big moment.
Okay, so it was right for him for what he needed to do to
Hmm.
like play his cards right, because at the end of the day, the traitors will have to turn on each other. That's usually what happens. It has never been all of the traitors going to the finish line. You know, you have to turn to win.
But is it too
Because
early? Like, I
I
don't know the
mean,
proper gameplay. Like, when is the right time?
I think he thinks Lisa has to go. And
Hmm.
so I think he just was like, you have to go. I don't know if it was personal. I think it was more so him just being like, this is the decision that needs to be made. But
Yeah.
it's so funny. He really just didn't want to vote for Ron. Like he just like really didn't want to vote for Ron. And I feel like it came down to that. And I think he was like, if I have to pick, I'm gonna pick Lisa.
But because the rest of the cast didn't pick Lisa, what does that mean for Lisa and Rob's relationship as traitors going forward?
I think they're gonna feel it out. Because I don't
Yeah,
know if Lisa Renna takes it.
as
Like I'm
personal.
sure the money would be nice for her, but I don't know if Lisa Rinna like desperately needs the money. And so I think that there's like a different dynamic between the people who are on traders who do need the money and the people who don't. And I think that like Lisa's able to be like, this is just a good TV opportunity for me. She probably gets some appearance fee. It's
Yeah,
good for her promoting. She has a book coming out, a memoir. And so I think that it does like all of these other things for her that make her even more money than what the trader's money is. So for her, it's just about like staying on the show as long as possible
yeah,
and making sure that while she's there, she is like as likable as possible. And I feel like that is actually her marching order. And she's like, I'm going to be likable and I'm going to be fun and people will buy my book.
yeah.
And I'll get more career opportunities after this because I've just been on TV for a little bit. I think
Well,
that's I think
let's
that's
continue with
probably
that
where
train.
I think that's probably where it goes for Lisa Renna. And
Yeah,
she's like, this kid is 23 years old, 20, like, you know what I mean? Like Rob's young. He needs this.
I'm good, right?
Yeah, I'm
And
good.
it's funny because she's been off TV for a bit and people are kind of loving her now just because that's how we are as an audience. We're so weird. So this
Yeah.
is working out for her. She is getting all these deals. People are loving her online. And then this happened. Okay. So people were really trying to support her online and saying like Colton has no idea who he's dealing with. They don't know who Lisa Rinna really is. So one of our friends, Abby Bonadies, she posted, "This is who Colton thinks he's slick up against. Good luck, buddy." And she posted the meme of Lisa Rinna saying, "Were people doing coke in your bathroom?" A classic. And Lisa wrote in response, "Let's talk about you being a stalker." She's
Ah!
obviously referring to Colton, right? And we all know the history, but I'm going to recap it super, super quick for those of you who don't know the story. So Colton was on The Bachelor as The Bachelor. He picked a girl named Cassie Randolph, and they dated for like a year and a half. A few months after they broke up, he put a GPS tracker on her car. He had sent harassing text messages to her friends, and her family. He showed up at her house a few times. And so they ended up getting a restraining order against him, which eventually was dropped because, Cassie wanted to move on with her life and everything. But shortly thereafter, Colton came out as gay. And he explained in a documentary that he did that I posted about a little bit earlier this morning, a documentary that no one watched but me, quite frankly. So I don't think a lot of people had this context. He mentioned in his documentary, Coming Out Colton, where he came out, that he had lost his mind at that time. And in his mind, he thought, if I can't make it work with this girl, I have to be gay. And I can't be gay. I can't be gay. I cannot accept being gay. So I have to make this work. I will do anything I can to make this work. And he essentially lost his mind and started doing crazy ass shit, criminal shit, because he was so terrified of having to accept that he was gay.
And
And so,
he owns the tracking and all of
yes,
he oh
yes,
wow. Okay,
yes.
so I thought it was alleged. It's not alleged. He said
It's not
he has
alleged.
owned that he has done that.
Yes, and it's in his
Wow.
own documentary. He fully admits to it and
Wow.
everything. So
Wow.
with that context, I went into this show saying, listen, I am a woman that supports women. Everybody knows that about me. And I'm not really a big fan of white men in general. But there was a part of me that I would never forgive, but I understood a little. However, when we went into this show and started watching him, he's giving off misogynistic vibes. I'm sorry, he is. He's not being kind to women. And if this was just like an isolated thing because you were trying to figure yourself out, that's not coming off here. You're coming off as mean. And I'm never going to be someone that says that anyone should be getting death threats for
No, of
gameplay
course
or for
not.
any reason, quite frankly. Nobody should be getting death threats. But I think that people are still upset about what he did, and they're translating that into the game because he's also not being kind there either.
He's not being
And
kind on the show, like, period.
Yeah.
He's just, it's like, even gameplay or not, it's really not coming across as
he's not
like
coming off as likable.
a warm person. It's coming across as like, and I guess the part of the game is being a little calculating. So it's not about that. It's just when there's a few moments that I think are making people say, ew. It's when he had the token and he wanted to kick one of the ladies off the chariot.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, that doesn't make sense. Like, it's still like, you don't want one of the ladies to be carried. And also, by the way, these women are over the age of 50. Like, they're not even, it wasn't even like it was like a young girl that he was like, sorry, girly, you got to walk. It's like an older woman that you should be wanting to protect. So that felt weird as a choice. And then he came after Tiffany in a way when she had this really incredible story about her son and all of these things. And so that made everyone go, ew. And then it's like the third thing of how he's, even though Lisa Rinna is a traitor, it's the way that he was trying to put her in a box that makes everyone go, you're really not helping yourself here, buddy. You're really not, you know? And so that no one should get death threats. But Colton is not doing himself any favors when you add the previous context in of how he's kind of mistreated a woman in his past. And then we're seeing him play that out on TV and with no self-awareness. You know what I mean?
Right.
No
So
self-awareness.
Traitors ended up posting this statement yesterday. This was from like the official Traitors account. They said, we are committed to making our castle feel safe, respected, and supported on screen and off. The cast of the Traitors are real people, and what happens in the game should never lead to cyberbullying or harassment. There's a difference between discussing a show and targeting individuals. Let's not ruin the passion for this show with unwarranted negativity and personal attacks. We appreciate your support. Then shortly thereafter, Lisa Rinna came out and kind of made a similar statement in her car saying, guys, Colton and I are good. We're fine. She never said, I like him or he's a good person, by the way. She just kept saying, we're fine. We're texting. We are good game players together. He played a game. I played a game. We're good, guys. We're good. And I do understand that sometimes the audience can mix their messages. If people are really upset and death threatening him over the game, no. But I think that people are justifiably upset about him not really taking accountability for the Cassie situation.
People didn't want him on the show to begin with. They were like, Colton and Michael Rappaport should not be cast. That was like a thing that a lot of people were saying before the show even started. So I feel like,
and I agree with that. They should
and I'm not saying like, oh, I didn't see the death threats, so they're not real. But I will say that when I saw the note, I was like, are people doing that? I was like so unaware that that's how far it was going. I was like, that's happening. Wait, what? And like, also everyone needs to go touch grass because we're talking about a television show and like, that's essentially scripted in a lot of ways. You know what I mean? Obviously, like, because of the legalities of what a game show needs to be, there's different rules, but like, it's not real. You know, so like, are we going to be mad at the wipeout contestants? Like, you know, are we mad at like?
No, it's so insane that people do this.
People like we need to calm down.
No, we went through this last summer with the Valley and with Janet, and like, you know, you can have your opinions about people, but there's no reason to send them personal DMs to their box, right? Like, we're content creators. If we want to like talk shit on our pages, that's one thing. Don't send that to them. Do not send them personal DMs as well and tell them to go die, right? That's not helping anybody. It's all well and good and fun for us to have our discourse online like we do, but sometimes it just goes too far. But the situation is kind of odd, like you said, because this wasn't an appropriate casting choice, I find. Slash, people don't really feel like he's taken accountability because no one has seen coming out Colton, and because any press that he's done, he's refusing to talk about it. So it probably won't come up at the reunion, and he's being a little bitch on the show. So all of those things combined, it's not having the reaction that you would expect, right? People are responding to Lisa Rinna's post with like, but we hate him and we want to be mad, right? People are not being like, sorry, Lisa. That's not the reaction. So it's quite
everyone's like, Lisa, you're being forgiving, girlfriend. Yeah. Like, get rid of this.
Started it. You said, let's talk about you being a stalker.
I know. But the thing is, she was being funny because it's like, let's not talk about the husband. Like, like she was like saying it in jest and like, oh my God.
You can say that in jest.
Can you imagine being Lisa Rinna though, thinking you're making a joke and then it becomes like literally a whole thing. And then, she puts her foot in her mouth a lot. As that's like what it's kind of part of her charm is that.
Yeah.
What's funny though is like I feel like when Love Island was having all of their drama over the summer with Huda and with Alandria and people being really mean, like they didn't send out. I guess they did one cyberbullying thing for them too, but it's just wild that that's even necessary for a reality show. It's like it's not real, Like everyone needs to get a grip.
I mean, a lot of people are saying online that they didn't, sort of like what you said, like, we're not even seeing that. I don't want to say it's not happening because he could be getting like personal DMs. Who really knows?
Yeah.
But it's just the narrative that I'm seeing out there personally. I didn't really feel like warranted this statement.
Don't they call that the Streisand effect? When you like bring attention to a thing.
Oh, is it? Okay, is that what that means?
So the Streisand effect is like you bring attention to a thing that people weren't really paying attention to. And so like it kind of is that a little bit too of like,
yeah.
I mean, I guess the longer he's on the show, the more people are going to talk about the things that happened with him. It's funny. I don't on my TikTok feed, I guess the season of The Bachelor Colton was on. There's a girl named Hannah that was on that season. And she is like an influencer who just recently got married and she's adorable. And yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And her husband posted a video where he's like, when you're watching the Traitors, but it's your wife's ex is on the show. And like he's staring at her and she's like, I just want to watch my show in peace. Like that's what she comments. And I thought that was hilarious. I'm like, that is quality content, kind of poking fun at a thing, being self-aware. Like it was just kind of perfectly funny.
Yeah, it was so cute. Okay, really I want to let you go soon, but I want to talk about one more thing when it comes to the Traitors, and then I will let you go. So we saw some contention between Dorinda and Ron that we were kind of confused about, right? Like Dorinda is sort of like our beloved Roni person, and Ron is so kind to everybody else. He has this adorable backstory. He's such a good comic. But he was being kind of rude to Dorinda when Dorinda was saying, like, I've tried to get to know your family. I've tried to get to know about where you're from. And he's like, I don't want to give you that information. And we're sort of like, are we missing something? So Ron posted on, I don't know if this is a thread. This is a thread. So somebody said on Threads, Dorinda's comments about how Ron plays the game hits harder now knowing that Ron has autism. And by the way, Ron confirmed recently that he is autistic. And so is his son, by the way. And then said, kind of another example how unconscious bias runs rampant on reality TV. And Ron responded, oh, she has unconscious bias. She said some truly terrible things to me, but since they were deeply personal and outside of gameplay, they were never shown. Just me blowing up at her out of nowhere. And I was like, whoa, what do you think this is? What do you think she said to him? Like, what went through your mind when you heard this?
When I saw that, I was like, okay, first of all, that's unfortunate because I hate hearing when like people whose personalities I kind of like on reality TV say stuff that's like so outside of things that I would like think is okay. You know what I mean? I hate that. Yes. It actually it bothers me. Yeah. Like I'm like, ugh, Dorinda, what are you doing? Like, shut up. Like,
I hate when they disappoint us because we put them on a pedestal in a way.
Yeah, and I'm just like, shut up. You don't have to say stuff that doesn't make, like, you know what I mean? Don't be rude.
Don't be offensive.
But Ron was being crazy at the round table, being like popping off. And I was like, wait, why is Ron being so mean to this lady? What is going on here? Because it came across as like, not cool. You're like, oh, like what went down? And so when I saw that comment, I was like, okay, that makes sense because stuff obviously went down. We will never know what got said until Ron says it or until Dorinda says it. I think that knowing how the reality TV fandom works, I don't think people are going to let it go until we know what the answer is. Like everyone's going to be like, so Dorinda, what did you say to Ron? What was the deal with Ron? Like it's going to come up again until we get something to know. But it must have been something that was personal, like she must have something personal. And that's not far outside of what we know Dorinda to do. Dorinda does say, she makes a little a little jab here or there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if anyone was witness to it though, because that would then be what would allow us to get more information. Is someone being like, I heard from Ron, or I was there and I heard
Right.
Dorinda say
It
XYZ.
felt sort of like out of left field for Dorinda, but then my brain
Yeah.
did its like scan of like, what has Dorinda done in the past? And I remember this one incident where she's at this party allegedly, and she's drunk, and she was telling everybody that Lindsay Hubbard was pregnant, and that's why she was kicked off of the original casting of last season of The Traitors. And then somebody told that to Lindsay, and then Sierra ended up replacing Lindsay, or is how the story goes. So Dorinda has denied this, and I have seen Lindsay and Dorinda hanging out all over New York having a great time. So I guess they made their peace. But that always kind of stuck in my head because that was never clarified. But I guess if Lindsay's fine with it, it's fine. I don't want to ever blame drinking for something, but maybe she said something while she was drinking. We've seen her do that as well. That does not excuse unconscious
Yeah.
bias.
They
But
don't
for him
seem
to get
very
that
drunk. They
hot,
don't seem very drunk on the Traitors
no.
though. And it feels like they're not drinking at all, actually. It's almost like I think people have beers every once in a while, but it seems like
Okay.
a pretty sober experience. I mean, maybe they have a glass of wine. It
Maybe
seems
they're not
like
allowed to. I don't know.
it
Like
seems
Love
like a
Island, they're
very
only.
sober experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, right? I mean, I really would like to know what it is, and I'd
I
like for
know,
her
me
to
too.
apologize, but also just for her own sake, because the whole concept of unconscious bias is that you are unaware of the things that you are saying and doing because of the way that you were brought up or just things that you were taught. And so you are unaware. And so when somebody makes you aware of something that you said that presents as unconscious bias, then you become aware of it so that you can internalize it and not do it again. So I think it's a
Yeah.
good thing to be talking about unconscious bias, especially like I was actually required to do an entire course on it
Yeah.
at a previous workplace. And I thought, this is so helpful and useful. Why don't we do this everywhere? A lot of people don't even know what it is, right? So, especially as you get older, I'm sure you deal with that a lot with like parents, grandparents. You see them saying things that like, you're just like, oh God, we do not say that right now. The whole point of having these conversations is that it does sort of teach the older generations that weren't taught things that they should have been taught when they were younger,
Hmm.
things that we know now. And so I think it would be nice if we could actually have these conversations at the reunion
Yeah.
for learning purposes, not
But
to
I
hurt
think
anyone or to bash
sometimes,
anyone, but for learning.
yeah, no, I think sometimes though, like when people are made aware of stuff, there's kind of two roads you could take. You could either double down and be like, I said what I said, or you could be like, oops, my bad, and backtrack. And
Yeah.
so when Ron used the word, oh no, she has a conscious bias, that was like, oh, there was probably an awareness that was made and then a choice to either double down or to be flippant.
Hmm.
And like, oh, that's such a negative interaction to have, that I understand why the editors probably didn't include it in the episode because there's already so much going on, but release the footage,
Yeah. Release the
release
tapes.
the tapes, release the tapes.
Oh man. Well, I hope the reunion is really good. I hope we actually get stuff
Me
from
too.
it, like we never
Me too.
normally do, but like we need to
I
not
wonder
be
who's
like,
gonna. I'm curious who's gonna win this season right now because it looks like it could go any direction. And at some point the traders recruit a faithful,
yeah,
and so I'm also curious. Like, will Lisa Renna stick around? And if
I think
so,
she's gonna
which
win the whole thing.
you think she wins the whole thing? Like, who ends up getting recruited? You know what I mean? Because she's gonna have to recruit someone. And it's like, does she recruit Dorinda? That's kind of obvious. Does she recruit Colton, who tried to make a deal with her? Does she, like, and maybe that's why they're good? Like, who gets recruited?
Yeah.
And I don't know if Rob ever gets found out.
I bet he doesn't.
He seems
Who
like
do you
he's
vote
gonna.
to win this whole thing?
I honestly think Rob has a good chance.
Hmm.
And I also think that, like, even Natalie has a good chance. Like,
Hmm.
she's kind of doing a good job. It's funny because when you think about last season with Dylan and Gabby, they had this ability to kind of keep their cool and stay quiet for a
Yeah.
really long time, a really long time. And so
Yeah.
I kind of am trying to think about like who's being the most quiet
A
right
lot of
now.
people though, like
Like there's a lot, like
Mark and
Stephen
Steven.
Coletti. Yeah, like
Are you
they
even
haven't
here?
said haven't said a peep. And Tara
Right.
Lipinski honestly has also been pretty quiet. And so it'll be interesting. I want to know when my next kind of question is like, when do they break up the ice skating duo? Because at a certain point, they need to break them up. And I think the
Nobody's
traders,
focusing on them. Yeah.
I know, and they're going to need to, because they become too powerful
Yeah.
together.
Hmm.
And so that's going to be an alliance that will need to get broken up at a certain point.
So Johnny Weir was the best man at Tara Lipinski's wedding.
It's crazy that they all act like they don't even know that they're friends like that. It like blows my mind.
Do
It's
your
like,
research.
it's like they've been working together for like a decade.
Yeah.
Like a decade.
It's crazy.
And
It's
and by
crazy.
the way, they're announcing at the Olympics, at the Winter Olympics, every time they
Yeah.
do it. It's so fun. They're so cute. They wear the best outfits. Like I love them.
Yeah. No, this has brought our eyes to like so many people that we haven't seen in years. That's why I love these crossover shows or Dancing with the Stars. It just brings back people that we didn't really know. But then I also love getting to know all these characters that I didn't, because I am not a Survivor, Big Brother, The Challenge kind of person. So I never know who these people are, but then they become part of our zeitgeist. So now Dylan Efron, for example, is one of us. And I love that.
100%. You know what's so funny is like right now everyone keeps being like, put this person on the Traitors, put that person on the Traitors, and it's like no. The next season of Traitors is actually no one's going to know anybody. It's all going to be like relatively unknowns because they're not getting stars. And so I think that will also make for a really interesting and compelling kind of layer of what the show will be. It'll be more like Love Island, I think, where we like learn who people are and learn to like them. So
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, Erin, thank you so much for being here with me today. This was amazing. Why don't you tell everyone where they can follow you and watch you and see what you have going on?
Well, thanks for having me, Dana. This was awesome. You can follow me at Erin Jones-Wesley, ErinJonesWesley. And my podcast is at Like Us Pod across all socials. So that's where you can find me. And I hope to see y'all in my comment section and, you know, liking things. And I will be in Dana's investigating.
Awesome. Thank you, Erin, for being here.
Yeah, thanks so much. Bye, Dana.
Thank you for listening to the Bravo Investigator podcast. For more content, head over to patreon.com/the Bravo Investigator podcast. Follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads at the Bravo Investigator. If you enjoyed the show, leave a 5-star review. Love you, BB. See you next time.